smelling right, luscious lips, dancing as you walk away.
Yo, what's going on? It's the Big D. We are back again today with another episode of the Divorce News Daily Show on the Big D channel. And you know how we do, we get down, we talk about these situations, and we try to decipher what we can from it, try to get some good information from it, try to move in a positive direction on it, try to get us in a direction that's going to be profitable for us and that's going to be, good for us going forward. So we're going to jump right in here and see what some of these situations are today. We'd love to get your comments and your thoughts on it, see how you kind of process this information, because I process things a little differently. I'm learning that. I process things a little differently from other people. I don't know why that is, but maybe we'll find out how you process things, and maybe we can come to some consensus about like how we should handle things. But let's start with this one in the divorce Reddit. It's from Blue Butterfly 777. Says, is it wrong to move on now? My ex and I got married at 19. We're now 26. We have 2 kids, 7 and 4. We separated in October 2024. I did initially visit a lawyer and complete the paperwork, but it was going to cost me $3,500 to retain her. My ex agreed to pay for the divorce, but asked me to wait until after the holidays. Here we are now. He has signed his own lease elsewhere and we live separate. Our marriage basically ended back in 2022 with a lot of back and forth, so essentially moving on was easier for me as he was unfaithful the full 6-year marriage. I have now met an amazing man. I have feelings for him and would like to pursue it. I guess my question is, has anyone experienced this before paperwork was even filed? Is this morally wrong? I'm having such a hard time with feeling guilty, even though the soon-to-be ex-husband and I have had the convo and stated that we don't care if the other dates. I know he will be gutted if he finds out regardless. He hasn't mentioned filing again, and I just haven't been worried about it because it's a lot of money. Thoughts? Does that piece of paper saying we're married mean that much? All right, so this is kind of an interesting one. We're going to get into this and just kind of pick apart some things that she was talking about there, right? So one thing I'm just going to say, I think it's important to kind of finish one thing before you start another thing. When you're trying to multitask in this situation, it's going to be difficult, especially when you got kids involved, right? So she's saying that he already moved out. She couldn't pay the $3,500, or at least it was going to be expensive to her to pay the $3,500 for the lawyer, but the ex agreed that he's going to go ahead and pay it or whatever. So that tells me that she's not in a really great financial situation, right? Maybe she'd have to put that on a credit card or something, and maybe she's not comfortable with that. She doesn't seem like she just has the disposable income to do that, right? So she's already behind the 8 ball with that. And now he's agreed that he's going to pay for it. So, but he said, well, let's wait till after the holidays. And that might have been for the kids or whatever, to try to get the kids some sense of normalcy or whatever, even though he's actually signed a lease and he's moved out, right? He's not living there no more. So I don't understand what his purpose was for waiting until after the holidays. If you know that it's over and it's done, then, you got to kind of deal with that straight up, right? What's all the waiting for? There's no real reason to wait from my perspective. They said the marriage basically ended back in 2022. So here it is, 2025. So we're talking at least 2 years, 2.5 years or more of them knowing that this is not going to work out. So why they haven't actually gone ahead and pulled the trigger in that 2.5 years, I don't know. So it seems like something else might be going on. So she says he's been unfaithful for the whole 6 years or whatever in the marriage. So that's probably not a good way to start things off and to be going through your marriage is being unfaithful. I mean, everybody has their needs and everybody has their desires and their wants or whatever. But if you're not ready to get married, don't put yourself in that position. I mean, why jump out there and be having extra affairs and things like that when you could have just stayed single and not done any of that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, I get it. They were young. They were 19 years old when they got married or whatever. And she says they're both now 26. So they were both very, very young, right? 19, you really should really just be starting college, right? You really should be starting college, you know, maybe in your second year of college or something, and really starting to begin to have your life take shape. But they were like already married and looks like having kids, because the one child is already 7. That might have been one of the reasons why they went ahead and got married, though, because maybe, you know, we're talking about 7 years. She probably was pregnant at that time, whatever. They probably went ahead and got the marriage out the way, the wedding and all that kind of stuff, because she was pregnant. And so for the young guys and the people that's watching or whatever, that's not the reason really most of the time to go ahead and get married. You got to think beyond that, because it could be a serious thing. That's why we had a whole channel, this Big D channel right here, because this thing could come to an end. And if you're in that situation where you're just getting married because of extended, I forget what the word is for it, but another situation is going on, and that's the reason why you get married, it's probably not going to work. That's not a good idea. So we can see where a mistake maybe was made there. Maybe they could have co-parented with the child. You know, they might even have lived together or whatever, but find out if you're really even compatible. Find out if you're ready to get married before you jump into it, because you got a commitment to uphold. So she asked the question at the end, does this piece of paper saying we're married mean that much? That's telling you the level of mental thought process right there. And yeah, that paper means a lot. You're tied to it. You got to pay a lawyer $3,500 just to even start to get out. So yeah, it means a lot, you know. So people might do what they want to do or whatever. You can go see this other guy. She can go get with this other dude or whatever. She's got feelings for him or whatever. But at this point, you got to learn to think beyond your feelings, right? You know, she wants to pursue something with this dude or whatever, but you didn't even get out of your situation that you're in currently that seems like it's about to be a little bit of a mess, to jump into another situation that you're not even fully sure what's going on. Because I'm pretty sure she hasn't really seen this guy enough, since she's still married, to be able to really know who this person is and to really pursue this situation with this person. But people jump out the frying pan into the fire all the time. I noticed that another question she asked, is it morally wrong? Well, nobody can tell you what your morals are, right? Some people's morals are based on the Bible and the religion that they grew up in. Some people's morals are based on their gut feeling. You know, everybody's morals are going to come from a different place. So I feel like, you know, you got to kind of just, figure out what your tolerance level for things is in your life, right? How do what is your conscience going to tell you about what you're doing when you do it? You know, you can't ask me, you can't ask the next person if something is morally correct unless everybody is coming from the same perspective and everybody's coming from the same background. Now, the background that I used to have, would say that's absolutely forbidden. It would be, it'd be absolutely not possible to do something like this. You would absolutely be shunned. You'd be kicked out of the church and everything else, so I come from that perspective. That's where I grew up from. And then there's other people who maybe didn't have that stringent arrangement or whatever. And they might take it a little bit lighter. Like, hey, I seen my parents split up and my pops had another chick over here or whatever. And my mom got with somebody or whatever. And we grew up with her boyfriend in the house or whatever. There might be all types of things or whatever. So, everybody's going to come from a different place. But morally, you got to figure out what your own morals tell you. You can't let somebody else tell you that. So from this situation, all I can really say is that, I think the most important thing we could take away is that you probably should finish one piece of business before you start the next piece of business, because juggling the two is probably not going to be easy. Now you could be adding another person who's going to be in your ear telling you this, that, and the other, influencing your decisions. They may not be fully aware of the whole situation. They wasn't there. They wasn't in the whole situation. So now they only seeing it from your perspective. They're not seeing it from the other side. So what kind of advice can they really give you with limited information? And then, now you create something else. Maybe your ex, might might not be willing to pay for it anymore. He might make you go half, whatever. So like she said, they had a conversation that they could see other people, but is that really, does that really work all the time? Not really. I think people, a lot of dudes might say that, but they still have that attachment to her, whatever. They got that jealousy thing going on. The woman might be jealous too. And once you actually see that person and you actually see that this person could really be in your spouse's life and you're not even divorced yet, you ain't even filed the paperwork yet, then a little bit of jealousy is going to come in and you could create other problems that you didn't expect to create. So yeah, he's living in another place or whatever like that. He's living outside the home or whatever. So, that might be a factor and you got to think about that too. I know people have physical needs, they have other needs or whatever, but I would say slow down, take your time. Slow down, take your time. There's no reason to rush. They're 26 years old. You're 26 years old. You don't got to rush for your life. You know what I'm saying? You got to rush. You start rushing, that's when you make mistakes. You rushed into the first marriage, obviously at 19. You wasn't ready for it. He wasn't ready for it. It's a disaster, and now you already, before you can get out of one, you're trying to get into another one. So that's probably not a good idea. So I would say slow down. You're young. You got a lot of time ahead of you. You got kids to think about. Take your time. Don't jump into something right away. Keep that person around. If that person's willing to be around or whatever, and they can kind of see you through this process or whatever and kind of be in the background a little bit, keep them there. But let them know that you got to handle your business first. Let's move on to a new one. Here we got difficulty NO 5452 in the divorce Reddit, saying, I cheated, divorce is finalized, but we're still dating. Okay, that's kind of interesting. This is a 36-year-old female married to a 30-year-old male. Surprise, I'm the 36-year-old female who cheated. Okay, so she's the one who cheated, but she says she's married to the 30-year-old male, but it says the divorce is finalized. So there's a little confusion already in this one already. I don't even know what we're dealing with here. It says, moved out on what would have been our 7-year anniversary. Yeah, the 7-year itch be hitting you, right? I realized my mistake and our divorce is filed. We are still going through marriage counseling towards reconciliation. Okay, I'm confused. Okay, the title says, I cheated, divorce is finalized, but we're still dating. So I don't think they know at 36 years old what a divorce being finalized means. You can't still be married and going through marriage counseling and have a finalized divorce. That don't make no sense. So maybe she means that the paperwork is filed or whatever. And maybe she meant divorce is filed, not finalized. So I'm just confused. All right, so let's start again. 36-year-old female married to a 30-year-old male. Surprise, I'm the 36-year-old female who cheated. That's not really a surprise though. Moved out on what would have been our 7-year anniversary. I realized my mistake and our divorce is filed. We are still going through marriage counseling towards reconciliation. I regret cheating because it hurts him and affects our 5-year-old. I want us to work out. I've done a lot of personal introspection to figure out. I don't know. Maybe she meant I've got a lot of personal introspection to figure out. It's just not written correctly here. How do I hang on while he figures out how to accept me back? Well, I don't know. And that situation is tough, man. When a woman cheats, it's a little different than when a man cheats. I don't think it's really the same thing. A man is built for like a lust factor. He's going to be, if he cheats, it might just kind of be a conquest type thing. It might be something where, it just was a spur of the moment type thing. He doesn't have any feelings involved. He's not really trying to create a relationship with this person. He's just trying to hit and quit. He's just trying to, just a squirrel trying to get a nut. But, when a woman cheats, I think it's a little bit different because she kind of has to choose and allow the man to actually sleep with her, right? If they're going to have sex or they're going to go and do something physical and intimate, the woman's really in control of that situation. She's going to decide, normally in a normal, healthy situation, she's going to decide whether or not this goes forward or not. And he has to kind of accept whether she says yes or no. So I think they get a little more emotionally involved, even though they can say that they're not. I've met a couple women that kind of separated a little bit, but most of them are in a pay-per-play situation. That's a little bit different when it becomes their job. But in a normal situation, we talking about, somebody who's emotionally attached in some sort of way. There's some type of emotional attachment that allows her to give her body to a man. So I think it's a little different. I think it's going to be a little bit tough for her to get him to accept that back, because as a man, he's going to realize that. And you want to be careful about your woman, right? You the way your woman walks in the street and the way that she moves in the street or whatever, we feel like that's a direct reflection of us as men. We want her to be beautiful. We want her to, be attractive and all that stuff. You kind of probably want her to be able to get hit on by men and stuff like that. But you also want her to have the ability to say no and to be strong for your relationship and to respect you enough to be, not deal with it, But, in this day and age, the way things are, dudes don't respect, they don't respect your relationship. They don't respect you. They're not, you can't expect any of that or whatever. So the only thing you can do is expect your woman to respect you. And I think she kind of broke that trust. She broke that respect level. She basically told him she don't respect him by sleeping with some other dude. I think the best thing she could do is really not do it again. And just prove like, hey, I'm not doing this again. Prove that she's really trustworthy to him. Let him know where you are, what you're doing. If you out of sight or whatever like that, it's going to take some time to build that back up. You build trust over a long time. You destroy it in an instant. It's kind of like your credit score, right? If you go out there and you 10 years straight, you paying all your bills, you don't miss, you're not late on your payments or whatever like that, you build a credit trust. But let you have one late payment and watch what that score do, and how long it's going to take you to kind of build that back up, right? And if you get something, even bigger, like something big, like a repo or something, that's kind of like cheating in a relationship, right? You don't repo, now you really got some time and some work to do to prove that you're credit worthy again or you're trustworthy again. So I think it's good they're going to counseling or whatever. They're trying to work towards a reconciliation or whatever. They got a 5-year-old son, or a 5-year-old. They didn't say which was 5-year-old girl or boy, but I feel like, maybe that's important to go talk about it, find out whether or not you can reconcile, and maybe there's space for you guys to really kind of, come together or whatever. Or do you got to give him his free pass to go do what he was going to do? Or maybe he already doing it or whatever and don't care or whatever. You got to find out all that stuff, right? So, she regrets it. And I find it interesting. She says that she regrets it because it hurts him. So I don't know if that's just a moment of introspection for her, if she really feels that way, or is this kind of like the way you express things when you know that you're in the wrong or whatever, and like you got to fix it, and now she's just saying what has to be said to kind of fix the situation. Because a lot of times when women cheat, especially if it was their idea, they don't worry about your feelings as a man. They worry about how they felt, right? They talk about, oh, I was feeling this, or he made me feel like that, or she made me feel like that. But she's kind of not doing that here, so I don't really know. I can't really tell from this here, per se. But, she says, how do I hang on until he figures out how to accept me back? Well, baby girl, do you really have a choice? What do you mean, how do you hang on? You grab on and you do everything that you're supposed to do to make him happy, to show him that you're there, that you're going to be trustworthy from this point forward, that you're not going to go down that path no more. You got to do the little extra stuff now. You got to build back up your credit rating, right? So that question throws me a little bit, because it sounds like you got one foot out the door, like you too weak to hold on, you too weak to do the work to make sure that you gain his trust back. That's throwing me off a little bit. So, how do you hang on? You hang on by focusing. Focus on your relationship. Do the things that you talked about in counseling. Listening to what he's asking of you. Ask him, what do you need from me? What do you want from me at this point in time? He might tell you nothing. So, that's a strong possibility too. You asking a question, you got to be ready for any type of answer, right? Because you asking the question. So, how you hang on is just do the right things, continue to go to counseling or whatever, be very honest, be very open about what's necessary to be discussed, be very open about why you did what you did, Even if you don't understand it, try to talk through it, right? Just try to talk through it and see what comes out, and be very open and honest with him and make him feel secure. If men don't feel secure, it's a real problem. So, I wish you the best with that situation. I don't know how it's going to work out, but I wish you the best with that situation. I wish the best for your son or your daughter at 5 years old. Last thing they need is their parents splitting up, but sometimes we got to live with the consequences of our actions. All right, we're going to jump in here and do one more today. This one is from Alert Brick 2273. Says she plotted. It's in the Divorced Men Reddit. So we're going to see what she was plotting on. Said, married for 20 years. And the day after Christmas, my wife wakes me up in the middle of the night to tell me she's done with our marriage and she's been unhappy for a couple of years. Wow. Waking up in the middle of the night to that. It's like, yo, that's rough, bro. Especially after 20 years. Let's see what else going on here. Since that day, we've had some long talks. Come to find out, she's been planning for a couple of years. This is very common. Don't think that it just was something that happened overnight. They be planning. I asked her why she never said anything, and she said she gave all she had. And sometimes it comes to that, right? Listen, I've done everything I could do. The run is over, and it is what it is. I told y'all about that before, where in my mind, I feel like there should be a contract, like 3 years, 5 years, or whatever, whichever you want to sign or whatever. And at the end of that period, y'all review it, look at your situation, and then y'all decide to go on or not to go on, right? I think it kind of should be a place where you can get out of this contract. I don't think it should be a contract for life. But yeah, she says she gave everything she had. She just finished with it all. She said, mind you, there is no abuse of any form. She wants for nothing. We live in an amazing neighborhood. Kids are thriving. So she got everything, right? Sometimes when you got everything, you treat it like you don't have anything, right? People always want something they don't got. So, she's kind of going through that. She said, I was drinking my coffee this morning and came to realize she's been plotting for at least 2 years while we laughed, smiled, traveled, celebrated family and career milestones. So that's crazy, right? That's the thing that I think hurts a little bit, because it's like, yo, I've been laying next to you. I like close my eyes at night and go to sleep next to you, and you plotting on me. Like that's something to think about. That's something for your ass to think about. As a man, a protector of your house or whatever, when you feel like your person is in jeopardy, you don't know what this woman could have did. She could have did something really crazy and took him out or something. You realize you closing your eyes around somebody that don't even care nothing about you. Like they trying to get rid of you. So he says the entire time she was plotting. One reason I think is because I just retired from the military, so she'll be awarded a good chunk of my retirement. So now we getting into something here. So now she figured like, oh, I know that the money is pretty much guaranteed. It's going to be there or whatever. So let me go ahead and hit him up for a little bit of cash. She's already bought a new bikini. Oh, didn't we just have what? Man, we just did a show about a lady that had got a new bikini. Yeah, this must be a pattern. She's already bought a new bikini and started working out. Oh, it's just like the other lady, right? I begged her for years to work out with me or just generally take care of herself. She always said, I'm not a Barbie. He says, I feel like I did everything right, provided, coached the kids' sports teams, put her through college with the GI Bill, and then he kind of goes on from there or whatever. So it looked like he did everything he was supposed to do. A good man, providing, he's a military guy or whatever. So, he's kind of stable with the way that he's done that. He's stuck with her or whatever. I don't know if there's some other things going on, infidelities or things like that happen in the marriage or whatever. But it sounds like overall, he tried to make sure she was comfortable, she was safe, she had everything that she needed. The kids had what they needed. He was involved in their lives and all that stuff. And the day after Christmas, this is the kind of gift that she gives them, right? But hey, man, sometimes it's over and sometimes you got to let it be over. But it's kind of tough, man, being married like 20 years or whatever. Say they got married even when he was 18, which is real low. He's still like 38. He's got to be between 38 and 50, right? Does he say how old he is really? He just says that they were married for 20 years. So who knows? It's a long-term situation that they was in, and now she's ready to blow it up. Obviously, because she feels like she's ready to play the field. She can get out there and flex a little bit, throw the badunka-dunk around, and get one of these young cats to really kind of swoop her up or whatever. She could play in these streets. I feel like that's what she's trying to do. But it ain't sweet out here. She go and think she drinking the lemonade, but boy, it might turn out to be pickle juice. So, because these young boys ain't playing out here. She gonna find out pretty quickly that it's not what you thinking. And, she gonna have to go through her OnlyFans phase or throwing herself up online and all that kind of stuff in the new bikini and all that kind of stuff and trying to show out for the young dudes or whatever, see if she can get her a nice young man or whatever like that. And, it goes from there. We'll see what happens for her. I wish her the best because it sounds like she's made the decision. If she's been planning this for 2 years, it ain't finna come back. I think he need to just go ahead and let it go. She never was a Barbie or whatever, but now she's got a lane through the IG and all of these other things, the OnlyFans and all that stuff. She's got a lane where she feels like she can be looked at and appreciated in a certain way. Maybe she felt like he wasn't looking at her like she was sexy, so now she finna get sexy for somebody else after he done provided for her and gave her the life and all that stuff, and probably got to give her some money from his retirement. So that's how they do us. They do us foul. What y'all think, man? What y'all think in this situation? I feel like she kind of foul for doing that. He held her down or whatever, but at the same time, I feel like, you know what? As men, we only go up, right? We only go up. If we want to go up, we can go up. It ain't good, it ain't hard for us to get out here, find little young thing, if I could say it. It ain't hard for us to find a fine little young thing out here either. So we gonna jump out of here with that on our brains, and I want you to comment, tell me what you think, and we'll see what's happening. But this is the Big D from the Big D Show, Divorce News Daily. We gonna get out of here. Peace.
Skin popping, smelling right, luscious lips, dancing as you walk.